Hello and welcome to Skills to Pay the Bills in today's segment of JustAskFreeman.com. Sitting next to me is my lovely wife and co-host, Carolyn Owen, and we have a fantastic show for you today. Our special guest began his career with the Social Security Administration in 1976. He currently works in cooperation with 15 offices serving the District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. He consults with a wide variety of media outlets, governmental entities, special interest groups, and key employees. He further ensures that the public is properly informed as to the solvency, direction, and purpose of Social Security Administration programs. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. David Melton, Public Affairs Specialist for the Social Security Administration. Welcome, Dave.
Welcome.
Nice to be here.
Okay.
Good having you. Well, gentlemen, we have about 13 questions that we're going to try to cover in the next 30 minutes. But David, if we're not able to finish everything with this segment, would you be willing to come back again?
I certainly would.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, because understanding Social Security is such an important, laws are so important, especially to the person that's just entering the workforce. It's important for all of us. So we want to take full advantage of getting all the information we can about what's happening. Now, Freeman and David, this is for both of you. Mm-hmm. Social Security legislation is very complicated, especially those people who are just entering the workforce. So, would you help us understand the Social Security laws, the products and the services better?
Carolyn, I would be glad to. I think that one of the most important messages that our young workers need to hear is that Social Security is there for them today and tomorrow. As they begin those careers and begin earning those paychecks and see Social Security taxes withheld from those paychecks, it's important for them to understand what those tax dollars are buying, the protection that they're purchasing for themselves and family members perhaps, in terms of a Social Security benefit being there, not only for retirement, but also understanding that Social Security is a program of disability and survivors insurance also.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask you next. How does Social Security work?
It's basically a simple concept. As we work and pay Social Security taxes, we earn what are called credits.
Okay.
This year in 2016, for each $1,260 of gross wages subject to Social Security taxes, we earn a credit. We can earn up to 4 per calendar year. You need a certain number of those credits to be insured or eligible for Social Security, depending upon the type of benefit that you're filing for. Again, whether it's retirement, disability, or survivor's benefits. But as people work and earn these credits and establish this earnings history, they're building their future. They're building a benefit for themselves. And we have various tools available at our website, socialsecurity.gov, that allow people to gain knowledge, gain information, take action to become educated and informed consumers of the Social Security program.
Yeah, Dave, there's approximately, about 167 million people that work and pay Social Security taxes, and we have approximately, 59 million people now
That's
that
correct.
actually receive those benefits. And you were talking about what do you do at www.socialsecurity.gov? Well, that question has been directed to me many times because we do seminars. They say, where do you get the information? Well, Dave, I think you explained it. There are estimators there. There are other tools there to help you make decisions about your retirement income planning. So I think, and I've visited that website many times, in helping our clients and helping them get an understanding that, hey, Social Security Administration has plenty of tools for you in order to implement and obtain your benefits. Take a look at them for your retirement planning. One question I wanted to ask of you, I recall when we used to get our statements mailed to us. Now, I think the age groups now has been, it started somewhere around age 30. Can you tell me about the different the age groups in which the statements are still mailed? And if they aren't mailed, how do we obtain these statements?
Well, Freeman, as you point out, Social Security historically has mailed Social Security statements to workers age 25 or older who had worked and contributed to the Social Security program. And we began to draw back a bit on the paper statements as a cost-saving measure. But we've now created a online feature called My Social Security, where people can go in and create a personal online account. And one of the great resources available through that My Social Security portal is your Social Security statement. Previously, you had to wait for Social Security to mail you the statement annually, 3 months before your birth month.
Exactly.
You could expect that letter in the mail from Social Security, but today's workers have the ability to look at that statement every day of the week if they so choose by accessing their My Social Security account. I get questions as I go out and do presentations. What's the significance, what's the importance of obtaining that statement? Well, there's several, very important bits of information there. One is we provide you with your earnings history.
Exactly.
And your earnings history is what your benefits are based upon. So obviously the accuracy of that earnings history is important.
It is.
You want to look at that. We encourage people to do so annually, maybe around your birthday, and verify that your earnings are being reported to Social Security and recorded by Social Security correctly. If there's a problem with that, you can bring that to our attention, and with proof of those wages, it's very simple to make those changes, make those errors corrected.
Exactly.
But we also provide you with estimates of benefits there. And we also share messages, Freeman and Carolyn, that change over time. You point out that we look at different age cohorts.
That's right.
The message that the 25-year-old wage earner receives would not necessarily be the same message that the 55 or 60-year-old wage earner would receive. And so we try to tailor the messages to those age groups, providing them with information that we feel is important to them at this stage of their life, at this stage of their career, so that, once again, they become armed with information.
Exactly. And something else is interesting, too. There are a number of individuals who say, well, I haven't received my statement. And Freeman, I am not tech savvy. I don't know what to do. How do we remedy that problem? Because some folks don't have laptops or pads or some type of devices that would access that information. And they're afraid of the internet. They're afraid of the technologies that is available for them to go and get this information from SSA.gov. How do we handle that?
We're committed at Social Security to service delivery options. Not one size fits all.
That's it.
So some individuals that might prefer to utilize online services, we want to make that resource, those tools available to that person. But for someone who's perhaps not tech savvy, as you point out, there are ways that they can obtain those statements. First and foremost, they can call us and we can generate that information for them. As you mentioned earlier, Freeman, we are doing partial mailings, paper mailings.
Oh, good.
We've targeted certain age cohorts. The younger worker, like a welcome to Social Security mailing, the older worker that's approaching retirement age and perhaps is more focused on those retirement benefits would get a statement. But we're committed at Social Security to putting the information that American worker needs in his or her hands to make those informed, educated decisions.
Oh, that's fantastic. I tell you, my wife and I have been working for a number of years, and the question that comes up is, well, if I work, I'm wondering how I can earn my Social Security benefits. What are the credits? All right. And how many do I need to qualify? Now, I heard you mention at the outset of our show here, you mentioned a few credits that is accrued over that 35-year period or until you reach a cap to make you eligible. The question is, what are the credits? And how many do you need to qualify for your Social Security benefit?
Great question. Information that people need to know. Again, as you work and you pay Social Security taxes, you earn what are called credits. You'll hear people use the term quarters of coverage, but the proper term is credits.
Right.
And you can earn 4 credits per calendar year. This year in 2016, for each $1,260 of earnings, you receive 1 credit. So someone who earns $5,040 or more at any point in time throughout the calendar year will have earned those 4 possible credits. The number of credits that the worker needs to be insured to be eligible for Social Security depends upon the type of benefit. So for example, in retirement discussions, that worker, that wage earner, that number holder needs 40 credits, the equivalent of 10 years of work. If someone's filing as a disabled wage earner or a family member filing for survivors benefits, widows, widowers, orphans, the number of credits that are needed depends upon the age of the deceased number holder. As a general rule, someone would always need at least 6 credits or the equivalent of a year and a half of work to be eligible for a benefit, but you never need more than 40 to be fully insured for a Social Security benefit.
Oh, that's excellent.
So it doesn't take a lot of work in one sense to become insured for your retirement benefit. 10 years of work will earn you that benefit.
That's nice. Carol.
So is that how you define retirement benefits being calculated, or?
Well, now, Carolyn, that's a different story.
That's a different. Okay. So then, how are the benefits? Retirement benefits
you need those 40 credits to be insured, but philosophically, Social Security is replacing lost earnings. Okay, that's what the program's designed to do, to replace in part earnings that have been lost due to death, disability, or retirement. So in the retirement scenario, when we actually do the computation of the benefit, we're replacing those lifetime earnings, lifetime being defined as one's high 35 years of work. Earned at any point during their lifetime, but we're looking at your earnings history, that year-by-year posting of wages, and calculating your high 35 years from that, and then from that deriving your Social Security benefit amount.
Can I chime in on that? We've given Social Security seminars, and I always give it a little analogy. And I say, well, a friend of mine told me, one of the advisors who I work with, he says, Freeman, you have a watch, don't you? I said, yes. He says, there are 2 people in the world. They want to know how the watch is made, and then some just care about getting the time. He was referring to the AIM, the average monthly index earnings. Some folks just care to know, how much am I going to get a month? They're not concerned about the details. And so there is, when we get the AIM, then there's a calculation, and I refer to it as bin points. There are basically 3 bin points. We won't go through all the detail now. But what that does, that calculation gives us what we call the primary insurance amount, PIA, or full retirement age payout or benefit. Could you elaborate a little bit more on the AIM?
After the break?
Well, we can do it after the break. Well, we're going to return. We're going to take a little break here. Thank you for staying tuned to JustAskFreeman.com. We'll be right back.
Introducing a breakthrough in time management technology. A whole new day of the week. It's called Someday. Ingenious. Perhaps someday you are going to go skydiving. Enter a hot dog eating contest. Maybe ride a mechanical bull. Now it's on the calendar. You may want to retire someday. Ready for that? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits, plan for your retirement, and how to save for it. If you already receive benefits, you can manage them online. Millions of people already have a My Social Security account. In fact, someone opens one about every 6 seconds. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
Day prior to the break, we were discussing how these benefits are calculated, and I given that little analogy there on how the watch was made. But some folks want to know, in detail, how these calculations. How does SSA come up with these calculations to determine the type of benefit I will receive? Well, Dave, I think you can help with that particular question, because there are tools readily available, and all you have to do is use those tools.
That's right, Freeman. I would encourage people to do two things. First is they want to look at our publications, our pamphlets, if you will. If you go to our website, again, socialsecurity.gov, down towards the bottom, there's a link to publications. And I would direct people to look at our publication, Your Retirement Benefit, How It Is Figured. And we talk about how we calculate that benefit. And you actually have the math computation
Already
on the
there.
fact sheet. So armed with that Social Security statement that you have obtained now because you created your My Social Security account,
Exactly.
you can use your My Social Security statement to do the calculation yourself if you'd like. But for those of us that might be more interested in just getting those numbers and working with those, we have a great tool. It's called the Retirement Estimator. And it mirrors some of the information that you would obtain through the My Social Security statement.
Right.
But it's different in the sense that it allows people to project future anticipated earnings. In preparing your Social Security statement, we take the last year of wages that we have recorded and project those out as your future anticipated wages. But perhaps that's not that individual's plan. Maybe that worker doesn't anticipate working at that level to, say, age 66 or 67. They are going to retire sooner, maybe in their late 50s, you know. So the online retirement estimator, available at socialsecurity.gov/estimator, allows you to project the future by answering two questions. How much do I earn each year, and at what age will those wages stop? And you can get an immediate online response and answer to how decisions that we make in terms of work history would influence and impact the amount of your Social Security benefit.
Okay, fantastic. I have to consider my parents who were born before 1938. And I would hear my father say, well, at 65, man, I can't wait to get my Social Security. I'm glad I'll be had that to augment my pension. He worked in the steel mill. Now there's a new full retirement age. Now our eligibility age, of course, is age 62.
That's correct.
All right. Unless there are other factors that could fit in there as far as receiving the benefit. We won't have time to elaborate on that today. But let's talk about full retirement age. We've seen that go from 65 to
67.
All right.
Ultimately.
Ultimately, it's 67.
Right.
So what is full retirement age during this time?
Right now, Freeman, in fact, this is a timely year. This is the last year of workers sharing a 12-year cohort of time. People born between 1943 and 1954 who shared age 66 as that full unreduced retirement age. So those workers born in 1954 are the individuals attaining age 62 this year.
Right.
But the 1983 legislation changed the age at which one can receive that full unreduced benefit from historical age 65 to age 67. Implemented over 39 years. It affects individuals who were born in 1938 or later. There's been a gradual increase for the last now 12 years. We've been static at age 66. We'll begin to see that age raise in 2-month annual increases. So for example, someone born in 1955 will have to be 66 and 2 months of age to get their full check. Ultimately reaching age 67 for all workers born in 1960 and later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
You know what's interesting too is a number of folks, you talked about making mistakes, errors. Some are eligible at age 62 and realize they made an error. They say, well, gee, maybe I should have waited and postponed receiving these benefits until I was full retirement age 66. And it seems that we would have to point out the fact that if you take your benefit at age 62, there's a permanent reduction of approximately 25%, and even spills over to the survivor benefit
That's
of
correct.
30%. And then, of course, we have those individuals who actually need their Social Security benefit to augment their retirement. income. As a matter of fact, about 46% of Social Security, you can see how vital it is, 46% of your retirement income comes from Social Security. It's up to you to come up with the other 54%, right, Dave?
That's right.
Through your pre-tax monies, qualified dollars, savings, etc. Pension, if you're lucky, in today's. But I can see the role of Social Security playing such a big part. And when you hit on that reduced benefit, that is permanent. Am I correct?
That's correct, Freeman. As a general rule, when people file for their retirement benefit, they're creating a benefit at that moment in time. If they're taking it early, they're seeing a corresponding reduction. 62 is the earliest age at which you can file and receive your retirement benefit. And for those individuals who have age 66 as their full retirement age, that reduction at age 25 is, or at age 62 is 25% less. So in some of our publications, again, I come back to those. One, understanding the benefits. Two, when to start receiving retirement benefits, a fact sheet that we have. We point out and we talk about the fact that when people file for Social Security, that they are making financial decisions. As a general rule, financial decisions that they lock into, if you will, for the rest of their life, affecting the amount of benefits that they receive, and potentially survivors' benefits are affected by those decisions. As a public affairs specialist, a question that I get all the time is, when should I file, David? What's the right time for me to file for Social Security? And I think the message for everyone is that there is no one right time, that that's an individual decision. And so you want to look at the various factors that influence retirement decisions, from the amount of my Social Security to what other income I have, what are my life goals, what's perhaps my health care situation, and then factor all of those issues into that ultimate decision that you say with confidence, today is the day for me.
Exactly.
And then you're confident that you're making a decision that works for you and works for your family.
All righty.
Okay. Now, David, we get a lot of questions from married couples. Let's say the husband and wife are both qualified for their own benefits. And the question they ask is, will the benefits be reduced because they're married?
You know, when Social Security began, 1935, August 14th, 1935, President Franklin Roosevelt signed the Social Security Act. A typical American family consisted of a male breadwinner and a female homemaker, mother, housewife, and children. And so Social Security, through the 1939 amendments, created family benefits. And originally just retirement. The 39 amendments created those family benefits, recognizing that in families, there are financially dependent family members, that spouse, that non-working or part-time working or intermittent working spouse. In today's world, Carolyn, I think what we see a lot is that, you know, we've changed, and a lot of married couples, both husband and wife, are independently insured for their own retirement. The wife has her 40 credits, the husband has his. They have that earnings history that creates that benefit amount. And so what we do when people file is we look and see which of those benefits are the higher. And as a general rule, people tend to take the larger of the benefits. So it's not uncommon today to see a husband receiving his check, wife receiving her check, and their marriage is not really a factor of eligibility. Their benefits aren't being impacted. My benefit as the husband isn't affecting my wife's benefit on her work record, and vice versa. So they're independently receiving their own Social Security. But we'll look at that, we'll lay out those options. You know, there's a great tool. People come to me and they'll say, I don't know where to start, David. I think one of the best tools we have is our benefit eligibility screening tool. BEST. You know, we like acronyms at Social Security, but BEST. And so if you go to socialsecurity.gov/best, then we're going to ask you a series of questions about your life experiences. Without you divulging that personally identifiable information, we'll ask your date of birth, but that's not unique. But not your name, not your Social Security number. We'll ask questions. Have you worked? Are you disabled? Are you married? Are you widowed? Are you divorced? Do you have children? And then depending upon the responses to those personal questions, we come back and talk about the benefits where there appears to be potential eligibility. So for example, Carolyn, if the wife were to fill out that benefit eligibility screening tool and indicate that there was no work history, then we would want to talk to her and with her about those spousal benefits, about wives' benefits, widows' benefits. And so, great place to go. Again, the benefit eligibility screening tool.
Oh, okay, that's very good answer, because that pretty well answers the next question I had to ask of you. We got the homemaker, never worked, but worked, took care of the household budget, took care of the children, or even aging parents or whatever. So she has no work history. Now, if the working spouse is paying Social Security tax, will that working spouse have to receive the benefits in order for the non-working spouse to receive half of his Social Security benefit? Is that referred to as deeming, where you got to have someone has to be received?
Deemed filing.
Okay,
Yes,
the
sir.
deemed filing.
Yes.
Suppose he doesn't take his benefit at the time, but he sees the need for his spouse to receive at least 50% of his benefit. How does that work? Would she be eligible for those benefits?
As a general rule, Freeman, I always tell the worker that you hold the key to the door.
Okay.
And when you open that door, your family members are going to follow you in.
Oh, okay.
So you have to open that door as a
right.
general rule. Now, as people plan and use these tools that they're learning about by watching your program this day, that we want people to understand that those spousal benefits are payable when the worker becomes entitled.
Okay.
That can mean different things. And so, people want to look at their individual circumstances as to what that means. But as a general rule, the number holder, the wage earner, the worker is going to initiate his or her application before those spousal benefits can be paid.
Right.
There is an exception for divorced spouses. But again, go to our website, look at some of those tools. I always encourage people just to type in their question. We have frequently asked questions. You can actually submit questions. I know a lot of websites have frequently asked questions, and I'll hear the comment, they have every question but mine.
Oh.
Right?
Exactly.
So, we always tell people, just go to our website, look at those tools that we have, and begin that journey of gaining knowledge about Social Security.
Exactly. Well, the clock on the wall is saying our time is up. And we trust that you have enjoyed our discussion with David Melton of the Social Security Administration. We want to remind you to go over to our website, justaskfreeman.com, and request your free Safe Money Kit. It contains information and education about your financial future. So until next week, this is Freeman and Carolyn Owen wishing you a fantastic day.